everyone. I'm Justin Mack with the Indy Star, and I'm joined by Tim Swearens as we kind of take you through an interesting 24 hours with Mike Pence and Donald Trump. And Tim, if you could kind of bring us up to speed, what's been going on since these two stepped off stage in Westfield on Tuesday night?
It's been an absolutely fascinating time in Indiana politics. So, we're told that after the big event in Westfield last night, the Pences and the Trumps had dinner, a late night dinner. And then what surprised everybody was they followed up with breakfast this morning at the governor's mansion. We don't know whether Donald had the omelet or the French toast, but we did see, there was a happy departing later in the morning, where the Pences stood on the front step and waved goodbye as the Trumps loaded into their SUVs and drove out of town.
All right, any information on what they talked about this morning? And was this something that they planned to do this morning after last night's event, or what actually brought Donald back to the governor's mansion on Wednesday morning?
Well, I think if you're a prospective job applicant, which Mike Pence is today, you've got to be encouraged that there was a follow-up conversation after the interview yesterday. So that's always usually a pretty good sign when you're applying for a job. They get back to you right away, right?
Definitely.
Because the Trumps easily could have gotten on the plane and flown back to New York or wherever they were going to go today, but they spent some extra time in Indianapolis. A good sign. We don't know yet what's going to happen. We will know something in the next 48 hours because Mike Pence is facing a deadline, which he said he will honor, that he has to withdraw his name from the Indiana ballot by noon Friday, or otherwise his party would not have a nominee, and I don't think they're going to let that happen.
Definitely, and as you said, when applying for a job, getting that call back is stressful, so a next morning visit is pretty good. Now, if he does decide to join the Trump campaign, what does that mean for the Indiana governor's race? How long could we be without a Republican nominee for that race if he decides to join up?
It could be a few weeks, and there will be a mad scramble on to fill that position. We're hearing all sorts of names. Eric Holcomb, the current lieutenant governor, would be first on the list likely, but we're hearing Mitch Daniels, the former governor and now Purdue president, could get back in. Susan Brooks, a congresswoman from the 5th District, could be on that list. Todd Rokita, another member of Congress. Brian Bosma, the House Speaker, his name is also in the mix. So it would be a fascinating scramble to see who would fill the Pence vacancy.
All right, and then of course, Mike Pence, not the only Indiana politician making big news this morning. What's going on with Evan Bayh?
Evan Bayh is back. So 6 years after Evan said, you know what, I can't take this nonsense in Washington, D.C. anymore. I've just got to get back into the sane world. He's decided that he really does like the U.S. Senate after all. He announced that he's going to run for the Senate this year. The Democratic nominee, Barron Hill, has already withdrawn his name, clearing the way for Evan Bayh, and now Evan has made it official. He will be on the Senate ballot in November.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the update, Tim. And as always, Indy Star will be tracking this story and all of the other political news happening in Indiana. Stay locked to IndyStar.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And it's been so crazy as far as what's going to happen next. In the words of Donald Trump, who the hell knows? That's it for the Indy Star. Justin Mack.